Pokemon Collectibles friends, how are we doing? I blew out my voice over the weekend, but we're going to fight through this video because I've got something to talk about. So I'm going to talk a little like Christian Bale's Batman, but I will do my best to get through this video. I've got a couple of points that I want to make here. First off, Pokemon investors, and I guess I would count myself into this. I think of myself more as a speculator, but I wouldn't say that I'm a collector of Pokemon cards, sealed stuff. I am more of a speculator slash investor. Speculators slash investors are ruining this market. That's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of prices are staying high and that sort of stuff. One thing that I do want to say to that though is when we talk about investing, there's a lot of Pokemon investors. The same way there's a lot of stock investors in quotation marks and real estate investors in quotation marks. Why am I saying it like that? Because there's a lot of people that get in with good intentions, especially young people. Nothing against the next gen coming down. I'm 43, so I'm talking to maybe the 20-somethings and maybe even some of the 30-somethings. Life happens. You start a family, things get complicated. Maybe you have a sick relative you've got to take care of. Life happens, so you can have a game plan for whatever these things are, and sometimes it just doesn't work out and you do have to liquidate, sometimes at a loss. But the idea that a lot of people are going to be holding this stuff for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I think that that is short-sighted. Now, are there whales and mini whales out there that are going to keep on stockpiling it? Yes, absolutely. And we've talked about the rip and ship business has gone absolutely bonkers, and that's all helping kind of that sealed market stuff. The singles market is really interesting for ultra modern Pokemon cards, really Sword and Shield up to today. There's a lot of hits. A lot of those chase cards are really carrying some nice premiums that they didn't necessarily carry going back before that. I want to talk about Prismatic Evolutions because this is a set obviously very popular right now, but it's one of a few very popular sets I think that are going to come out this year. I think 2025 is going to be a banner year where you have a few great sets that come out, and then you also have people that are still trying to buy into Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet product as it becomes available, and possibly as we see prices cool off on certain booster boxes and that sort of a thing, kind of picking your spots. But with Prismatic, shout out to Catch 'em All Collectibles, he commented that you can count on typically, stuff comes out, it's $10 a pack. Prismatic is about $10 a pack right now, if you break down the cost per pack with the boxes, specialty products, and all that sort of stuff. But what he was saying is historically, you have the reprint, it probably gets down to $6 a pack if they come in with a heavy reprint and that sort of a thing. Well, that's going to really test a lot of the investor speculator market right now, because what's keeping prices high right now, and something that's different from other sets that I've looked at with Pokemon, it's the SIR PSA 10s. Yes, you've got the raw copies that are absolutely bonkers, but if you can get the big chase card, the SIR, and then you're able to get a PSA 10 on top of it, the Umbreon EX, the popular card in the set, the big chase, a PSA 10 selling for $3,500 to $4,000, $3,800. It's similar, it's on par with the Evolving Skies Umbreon PSA 10. It's the same price point essentially. Now, will there be a lot more of these that come out as they print more and so forth? Yes, absolutely. And then the big question is going to be, is there enough demand to meet that price? Will it always be a $3,500 card, a $4,000 card? Can it go higher? Or when you have more and more PSA 10s that are, it's all reprinted, more and more PSA 10s that hit the market, is that going to push prices down? The whole supply-demand thing would tell you that the answer is yes to this. But the part that we don't know is incoming demand and demand that's here ready to buy in as those prices come down. Meaning, if they come down to $3,000, $2,500, is there enough people there that are ready to buy in at those numbers because they really love those cards or speculating, investing, whatever, or collectors, whatever, they want to pay that price for that particular card. That's the thing that's so fun about collectibles is it's really just boils down to what somebody is going to pay for any given thing on a particular day or year or whatever. Like it can change on a dime, it can rise, fall. Demand is a wild thing in collectibles, and it can sway, it can go back and forth. I mean, the Pokemon people that have been around for a while, they'll tell you this because it hasn't always been as hot as it is right now. Going back a couple years when people were buying booster boxes for $90, $100 for a booster box, I think, and now that I'm looking at it, that just feels way too cheap. When you have booster boxes at $100, and what is it, $3 a pack or less, $2 to $3 a pack, $2.50 a pack. I mean, what were packs in 1999, 2000, 2001? Probably $2 a pack. So we're talking about with all the inflation and everything, and now you have the chase cards that are in these newer sets. Yeah, that stuff was just overpriced. So a lot of this kind of this boom market or this, this bull market that people are calling it, I think it's more of a correction upward to where probably prices should have been in the first place. and now it's reflective of that. So I don't think that the prices for a lot of the booster boxes, Sword and Shield, and some of the Scarlet Violet stuff, I don't think it's crazy priced. I don't think it's priced crazy at all, but as we knew was probably going to happen is you've got people with paper hands, a box, they paid $150, now it's at $200. They're going to sell off all that. And so now what you're seeing is you're seeing a lot of supply that's heading into the market. So again, going back to Prismatic Evolutions, it just feels like it's going to be tough sledding, even if they reprinted a lot, just because there are a lot of sealed holders of that product. And man, if you look at just, again, Arizona TCG showing what that set is worth, whether it's just raw or PSA 10, it's really high. The cards look great. There's a lot of great chase cards, and not even just the Umbreon. All those SIRs are awesome cards. I'm not even the Pokemon card collector person, and I think those SIRs are really awesome. Those are examples of cards that I would like to own myself. I just don't want to buy into PSA 10 prices right now when they still have to reprint. They still have to grade more and all that. That's something 2, 3, 4 years down the road. I'd like to see where it's at, and maybe I buy into some of those cards. And so going back to the title of this video, are Pokemon investor speculators ruining everything right now? Maybe, but it's probably short-lived for a couple of different reasons. One, people don't stick around. They just don't. And then two, they're going to print more of this stuff. They're going to print a lot more Prismatic Evolutions. They've already said so. And probably the sets that are coming out this year, they will also print more. So I think patience is really going to be key here with a lot of these sets. I plan on still buying a lot of Prismatic Evolutions here over the next couple of years. I'm going to just take my time with it, but that's the set that I'm really focused on when it comes to the newer stuff, sealed product. There'll be a variety of different sets that come out this year that I'm sure will be popular. I'm going to zero in on Prismatic as being one of those important sets that holds up over time. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if the demand really holds up. I'm excited to see what these, I think they're like premium collection boxes or something that are going to come out in May. They've got 15 packs in them. I would like to have some of those. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see how this goes. But again, I think we just have to remember that life is long, and a lot of people can get excited about something, stay in it for a little while, but eventually maybe they get tired of it. There's other things that interest them. That's the fun thing about collectibles. People, look, I collect a whole variety of different things, tons of different, collectible stuff. And so the idea that you can't shift gears or go do something else or whatever, get interested in other collectibles and you need something to fund that, well, that's what people are going to do, I think, with some of this Pokemon stuff. For sports card people and for other collectible spaces, though, one thing I will say, because I've talked about this, I'm a sports card person that's come over here to the Pokemon space over the last 3 months, because if I'm looking at store value over a long period of time, I have exposure into sports cards and into other collectible spaces, whether it be action figures or graded video games or whatever that might be. I have exposure in each of these things, and I really enjoy these from a nostalgia standpoint. But when you look at just overall IP and what is safe in quotation marks, I know that it's collectible, so nothing is safe. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But as I've studied this market and I look at the strength of the IP, the strength of the collector base, the amount of cards that TCG folks are grading, specifically Pokemon through PSA and others, it is a booming market in a variety of different ways. It's not just investor speculators, it's collectors, it's families that are buying cards for their kids. There's a huge swath, a wide breadth of different people, different demographics that are into Pokemon cards. A lot of females into Pokemon cards. There's not a lot of females on the sports card side or in other collectible spaces. And I think, again, when you're looking at kind of that next gen getting into trading cards, it's important that there's males and there's females, all different ages, that are into the stuff. So I think it's a kind of a safe-ish store of value if you're comparing it across other collectible spaces. So it's fun to diversify into. I want to have some exposure into it. My 9-year-old son collects Pokemon cards and tells me all about Pokemon. So it's a way for me to bond with him as well. So it's kind of a win-win in that regard. All right, my friends, let me know your thoughts. I hope you have an amazing day ahead. Stay healthy, stay awesome. I'll talk to you again later.